What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, GSPN and Blue Wire's Green Bay Packers podcast. I am your host, Numac, and joining me for another preview pod this week against the Buffalo Bills, fresh off a Bucks playback, which was very lively against the Brooklyn Nets, is Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
Hello, the camera's on. Lights, camera, action.
Why that sounds so strained?
Because we're talking about the Packers now, so my
True.
spirit's dulled.
That is fair enough. I've been the same way this week. It's been more than a fortnight since a Green Bay Packers win, which is sad to say, but such is
No
the life.
floss dances over here.
Oh, that was so. I thought we thought the floss in like 2020, but apparently we didn't. You guys missed it. One of the Commanders players flossed after his touchdown, which was
Really?
incredible. Yeah, you was that just
I don't think I remember. I think I tried to block out as much as I saw
so?
from
Are you
Sunday.
telling me there was no? You said there was no flossing over here. That was just off the top of your head.
That's off the top of my
That's incredible. What a coincidence. But before we move on totally to what is going to be a we'll say an eventful and a an understanding preview pod against or for the Buffalo Bills. We should go through some cheeses, but first, Jordan, if you'd like to get your quick thoughts on Sunday's game against the Commanders.
Quick. I don't know about that. I would wish the passing game would be the. I mean, at this point, it's hard to. I didn't have the greatest expectations. I believe even when we went to the score predictions, I think I said Washington was going to win.
We
That
both
was
said
more.
yep. We both said that.
Yeah, both. Yeah, that's true. Um, Obviously a reflection on my losing faith in this Packers team and just where things have been heading.
Right.
Um, and yeah, you just wait for some urgency to kick in. You wait for some identity to come into focus. I mean, even you could say like all these things about, Rodgers, Aaron Jones does well within the few opportunities that he had. The defense did everything they could
Mm-hmm.
to keep that team in the game,
They did.
and nothing has paid off
No.
time and time again. Um, yeah, surely some bad breaks. Obviously, the touchdown that was taken away. Uh,
Big swing.
Big swing for sure. Jair struggling mightily, probably one of the worst games I've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
Without question. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else. Well, obviously, this is a Packers podcast, so we'll obviously talk about more about it. But it's just a matter of like, the more you get removed from it, the more you just kind of like. I think I said last week, all these things that are going on with the Packers shouldn't come as a surprise,
Right.
but the manner in which they are just kind of dissolving,
Yeah.
which kind of might be the best word to describe this, is just kind of baffling to me.
Right.
And it just shows last week they just didn't really have a pulse on anything that was alienating them. Even when things were kind of going right, it was still just like at some point, like now we're at the point where we can't say like they're, leaving some meat on the bone. What if
Right.
they just don't have the weapons in a very literal sense at this point to just kind of be like, we are going to carve that turkey to finish this
No.
metaphor.
No, I definitely see what you're saying. Like playing off the meat on the bone metaphor. What if there just isn't that much meat on that bone to begin with? Like what if this
Yeah.
is a very poor cut spare rib? Like to really get in the weeds of this metaphor. I feel like every time we eat spare ribs, I'm eating like 80% fat off of a spare rib and you get a couple morsels of meat.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of the matter, is that like what if that offense just isn't really doesn't really have those weapons this year? And it's what if we talked about on Sunday, it is a gap year and we just need to come back and
Yeah.
retool. But
Yep.
I definitely agree with you that it's not like the offense left points on the board. Like
Nope.
they had a couple stalled drives on fourth down conversions they didn't get, but there was never any opportunities where like, yeah, we're in the red zone. Instead of kicking a field goal, we went for it on fourth down and left points there, but that didn't happen. They just didn't have any life.
Yeah.
But a couple players did have life. One particularly on offense, so we'll hand out some cheeses as a reminder. Cheese board updated weekly on Thursdays. We get a chance to look at the grades and such. One cheese is a Munster, two is a pepper jack, and three is a nice sharp cheddar. We're hoping to give away a sharp cheddar sometime in this 4 game series, or 4 game stretch rather, against the Patriots, Giants, Jets, and Commanders. But alas,
No dice.
no dice. But earning cheese this week. One, Aaron Jones had a monstrous week. Impact wise, he was really the only. I shouldn't say monstrous. He had a good week. Monstrous would
It
have
could have been monstrous. That's
could have
what
been monstrous for
is.
sure. But
Yes.
he had 8 rushes for 23 yards, but 6 receptions or I'm sorry, 9 receptions for 53 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air, including the touchdown late that helped get the Packers back into it before ultimately losing. So
Beautiful catch.
beautiful catch. Like Aaron Jones making like circus catches doesn't happen too often. I feel like a lot of times he drops them because he's a running back, and we shouldn't be
And
expecting
he's
him to make
like
those in the
twisting
right,
back shoulder catches that are just like how you wouldn't expect a human to do that at full
right.
speed and a safety bearing down on you too.
But he does it because he's really good at
Yep.
football.
Yep.
So he earns a cheese, and then that was really all that was worth talking about on offense. But on the defensive side, each earning a cheese is one Devondre Campbell, uh, earning himself one because of his pick six, and he absolutely snatched that ball away from the target to bring it all the way back for the touchdown. In addition, he had 12 tackles, 7 of those solo, 3 tackles for a loss, and a pass deflection. So, and 1 QB hit, but that's just, yeah. But so, really good game from Devondre Campbell. Hopefully, this is the beginning of him upswinging and getting
Yep.
back to that form last year.
All pro form. Yeah, it was definitely a coming out party. Kind of a slow start, not kind of, very slow start compared to what we saw last year. But he stepped up in a big way and was a big factor in why things were looking good at one point
Right.
Sunday.
Precisely. But then the last cheese we're handing out this week is to Razul Douglas. Played a hell of a game, hell of a game. Had a scoop and score taken away from him because of Eric Stokes's penalty, which I didn't very much think was a penalty, but that's not for discussion here. 10 tackles, 5 solo, 3 pass deflections, according to ESPN's box score, which was incredible. He had a very, very nice game, and I'm again glad to see another one of those players. The 2 players that we really raved about coming out of last year because of the way Brian Gutekunst brought him in off like the streets essentially to make a huge impact and now making an impact as they should um this season.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Again, I think too, like Campbell, Douglas has kind of had his woes.
mm-hmm.
Obviously, the London game comes to mind.
Right.
What there was something else too. Um, but to get to my point, again, stepping up when needed, especially you look on the other side of the field and Jair struggling as much as he did.
Right.
They just need some balance, and hopefully that kind of continues through on, especially looking ahead to what awaits the Packers this week.
Exactly. Um so just to touch on it quickly, I didn't think any of the offensive line really earned a cheese. The I was very impressed with how Zach Tom and Yash Dimon slid into their roles um coming off of the retooling that came from post Jets game when they took out it's Royce Newman, right? This is the one they took out.
Yes.
They took
Yeah.
out Royce Newman from right guard and put in Inman at right tackle, John Runyon Jr. at right guard, Elton Jenkins at left guard, and then Zach Tom at left tackle. So a lot of moving parts with Bakhtiari being named out on Sunday morning. But the run blocking just wasn't there. Like
Mhm.
they only had 13 run blocking snaps, but the rushing yards weren't there to really back up that they really did their part and how they were supposed to. So
Yeah.
if they can, but overall the line as a unit I thought did very well. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
that they can prove it this week. Um, Again, that they can run block rather than just being a pass blocking unit.
Yeah. It
But
was clear they needed a different mix too.
yeah, I'm hoping like I hope Bakhtiari plays obviously because that's always a plus. But
Yeah.
if he doesn't, knock on wood, I feel like this line is in a good spot as it is right now if they can bump up that run blocking um, efficiency a little bit more.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Yeah. So as the cheese board stands now after week 7, leading the way as you would probably expect is Aaron Jones with 5, following up as Rashawn Gary with 4, Devondre Campbell and Preston Smith roll in with 3, and then the slew of players with 2 is Aaron Rodgers, AJ Dillon, Elton Jenkins, Jair Alexander, Kenny Clark, Keyshawn Nixon, Pat O'Donnell, Rasul Douglas joins this group of 2, Quay Walker, Romeo Dobbs, and then with 1, Alan Lazard, Eric Stokes, Darnell Savage, Jaron Reed, John Runyon, Mason Crosby, Randall Cobb, Robert Tunyon, Rudy Ford, Sammy Watkins, and Zach Tom. So that's the cheese board as it stands. Hopefully next week we can celebrate the cheese board with a little wine. Not be so
Let's do
whiny about the game.
it.
Like that one, Jordan. Pull that
I
out of
did.
your bag of tricks.
I have a bag.
You do have a bag, unlike Giannis,
Bag.
allegedly.
There we go.
Alrighty. Packers v. Bills. We tabbed this game as one of the premier to watch at the beginning of the season. We thought this was going to be a Super Bowl preview. We thought a lot of things about this game. We knew it'd be hard. That's what we knew for sure. We knew it was the first really difficult game they had this season. That was for sure. Little did we know that we'd be 3-4 going into this game. We being the Green Bay Packers. The um the Bills are rolling. They are fresh off of a bye, coming in at 5-1. Their last game was against the Kansas City Chiefs, which they won. I believe it was 24-20. Yep, and that was at
Sounds right.
Kansas
Yep.
City. So definitely, yeah, quality win there. They have wins over the Rams, Titans, Ravens, Steelers, and Chiefs. Only loss was a 2-point loss to the Dolphins at home. That was pre Tua resting in peace. So that's one way to put it. But yeah,
Yes.
Josh Allen, good. I guess Jordan, what are your initial thoughts before we get into the injury report and sort of the nitty gritty on the Bills?
Yeah, they're I
We
was
can
about to make this an explicit podcast.
do it.
They're fucking good.
They are fucking
They're
good.
exactly what we anticipated them being, and the Packers are not. I am struggling to find like strength of schedule stats because I feel like they've had a really hard um
Well, being
schedule.
being a team that finished in first in their division, they're going to have a harder schedule anyways.
Yeah,
Like
that is true.
like that's
Yeah.
just how that always shakes out. So like obviously they're playing the Rams who finished first in their division, the Chiefs who finished first in their division, the Packers who finished first in their division, and I think something else, but they always face like the more difficult slate of teams because they finish in first.
Yeah.
If you guys
I
didn't know
mean,
that, like the listeners, if you finish in first, you play the other first place finishing teams in your games next year. Same thing if all the way down the schedule or like the
plus if
the
he
standings.
added game to
Yeah. So like I can look at it quick. It looks like the Bills play the AFC North and the NFC North
yep,
this
and then
this season. So So there are a couple extra games were against the Rams, the Chiefs, and the. I'm trying to see quick. I can't find that one. I think it might just be the Rams and the Chiefs. I can't. Oh, and the Titans. So there are three extra games this year. We're all against the first place finishers of the other three
Oh yeah.
divisions. So the
Yep.
the Titans, the Rams, and the Chiefs and the Packers were all winners of their divisions last year.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously play the Chiefs that already kind of
They
boost
beat
up
all the
your
division winners last year, so that tells you any
yeah.
caliber of how good the Bills are this year.
Yeah.
So
I think for fewest points allowed as well, at least per game.
yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, they're
Um,
really good.
they're really good, believe it or not. But let's hop into the injury report because it is a bit lengthy this week for both teams. Limited participation this week, and we'll see how this goes. We talked about this every preview pod since David Bakhtiari came back. But leading into next week, or I'm sorry, leading into last week, Bakhtiari practiced 3 straight days because he wanted to, which was quite literally the reason is why he practiced 3 straight days. He told Matt LaFleur and the coaching staff, "I want to practice." They were like, "Sure, why not?" And they let him practice 3 straight days. And he woke up Saturday, Sunday morning, didn't feel right, and that's why he sat out. So Ty said it in our group chat that he learned, or it might have been the Discord, join the Discord, GSPN info, uh, that Matt LaFleur learned nothing from the Bucks trip he took. Like the Bucks
Mhm.
would have been held out David Bakhtiari as still if they had a choice, if he's still not feeling great with his knee. So he heard it. If he practiced 3 straight days, who knows? But as of Wednesday night at 10:13 p.m., David Bakhtiari is limited participation in practice on Wednesday. I would bet a hefty sum of money he does not practice Thursday,
Yep.
and then is like 50-50 for practicing Friday.
Even that just kind of gives you a glimpse of just like, yeah, I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
like it's not even raising eyebrows. It's just like you're squinting and just like this.
Yeah, it's
I'm trying
like
to spell it out for podcast listeners, but it's like you're just looking across and just like, what are you doing? Like, how do you I just I don't get that at all. And I understand you want to have the player have some agency, especially someone that is one of your highest paid players on the roster. They're going to have some agency over what they want to do and their treatment and rehabilitation, blah blah blah.
right.
But it's still like I don't know. That is kind of eye opening
It
in a
is
very direct way.
right, and that was Zach Tom's thing. Not his thing. I should back up. That's what we were worried about coming from Zach Tom's quote on Sunday. I'm not sure if you saw this, but Zach Tom on after the game on Sunday had said to reporters that after they had asked him like, how'd you feel coming in, like knowing you had to fill in for David Bakhtiari on short notice, and he was like, well, I take first team left tackle snaps every week in case David can't go because his knee bothers him or whatever else. Like he takes first team practice or first team left tackle snaps every week
Mhm.
because he and the team know that Bakhtiari could just wake up one Saturday morning
And it's just not
and
there.
it's not there, which was like that was eye opening to us as fans. Like, wow, that's not good. Like
No.
your entire plan for your offensive line could be down the drain because it's raining outside and David Bakhtiari and he doesn't feel that good. Obviously, that's being facetious, but you know what I mean.
I don't know if it's being facetious. I think that's kind of what it is. Especially too, like I mean, we even talked about I think even the London trip where that it's like, how does it react to being in a plane for who knows how long?
Right.
And even in that game, you see him come. I think they were what was I'm like I'm piecing together different things, but I want to say like he came out and sat on the sidelines for a couple series or even did finish the
I
game.
think he did. I think that was the game where he was in between. He was coming in and
Yeah,
out of the game.
yeah, and it's stuff like that. It's like
Right.
It's so I don't know.
Yeah. So he was limited on Wednesday. We'll see if he goes on Sunday. They're gonna need him against this very good Bills defense. So here's to hoping. Rashawn Gary is in concussion protocol still. He did not participate in practice on Wednesday, obviously because of that. Shamar John Charles, the cornerback, has an ankle injury. He did not participate. EJ didn't participate. He has a knee, and did not participate, obviously, on Wednesday. I'd imagine the same thing
Yeah.
that they were doing earlier in the season, so they went away from it. David Bakhtiari practiced today. EJ didn't. They'll probably flip flop them and see who goes on Friday. Al Lazard, who went out of Sunday's game with a shoulder injury, did not participate. I believe I saw a quote from him from Matt LaFleur just to say they're going to see how it feels, and it'll be up to Coach LaFleur to see if he practices on Friday.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers also did not participate with his thumb injury. That isn't hurting him at all. Like thumb injury is not a problem according to Rodgers, but he's not practicing. And then Sammy Watkins and Christian Watson both limited in participation with hamstring injuries. So we'll see. Hopefully Christian Watson can come back. I really can't believe they haven't shut him down yet, but we'll see.
But it sounds like they really don't know what to do with all these various injuries that they have going on.
Apparently not.
Yeah. Very disappointing.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
Weird. Before the Bills, their injury report is as follows. I'm gonna lead with the best name on here. We can roll our eyes. Jake Kumaro, limited in participation with an ankle injury.
Now that's a wide receiver right there.
That's a wide
wide
receiver. That's a wide receiver the Packers could use. Could you imagine this offense with a Jake Kumaro? Man, bet you Aaron Rodgers is pretty thrilled. Spencer Brown, their tackle, has an ankle injury. He did not participate. Uh, Taiwan Jones, running back, he has a knee. He did not participate. He's like their fourth string running back. I think they have um, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, and I forget their third string.
Was he on like the Raiders or something like that? I love that I'm fixating on this like third string running back.
I can tell you. Also, James Cook um is their third string back or second string. I think he's technically second string, but
yeah, he was on the Raiders. Yeah.
was he? There
This
you
is
go.
his second tour of duty with the Bills.
Been in the league since 2011. Oh my.
Keep getting them checks.
He also like doesn't play. I don't think I'm going through his game logs here. He does not play more than like 6 games a season. So
Keep getting them checks.
So yeah, he did not participate, but I wouldn't expect him to have much of an impact anyway. Um, and then Cam Lewis, the cornerback, was a full participant in practice today, and then they had a few folks out with veteran rest, so nothing to look at there. So, with that being said, Pack still 10.5 point dogs. First time in Aaron Rodgers' career, if I'm not mistaken, or since it very started, that he is in double digit dog territory. It feels appropriate. Like the Packers were getting spotted 10.5 points against the Giants and the Jets, and I think the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. Like
Yes.
I would not be surprised if they get throttled, and we'll get to that later, sort of predictions and expectations and whatnot. But I guess I'm curious as to what you think, Jordan, as a Packer fan, much like the rest of us and myself. What are you feeling about the Packers being 10.5 point dogs in an Aaron Rodgers led game?
Um, Fitting, probably overdue. Granted, you're going to give the benefit of the doubt to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers figure it out, but that has not come. And the responses to a skid like this have been far from promising. I think they've obviously gotten further down a hole that they did not envision going in. Yeah, it's a sign of the times.
I'd say
Sign of the times.
sign of the
And you're
times
going against a team that is a juggernaut.
on
Um,
both sides of the ball.
exactly. It's there's been a lot of talk of the few podcasts that I can listen to at this point. Um, of the state of the NFL and just the parity and just like there's just a lot of crappy teams out there.
Yeah, it's a weird year in the NFL. Not sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, it
No,
feels like
it's
there's a lot of like middle ground, and there's like three Super Bowl contenders: the Eagles,
yeah,
the Chiefs, and the Bills.
Bills.
And
And
the
it's
rest of the NFL either sucks or is okay.
and I feel like we kind of saw it coming. I think it's the teams that are very much surprised. I mean, no one thought the Eagles would be here. Um,
After last year, yeah, like
yeah,
they made a lot of moves in the offseason to
they
get
made a
to
lot
this
of moves,
point.
but it
But
felt like they needed some room to grow still.
yeah, being 6-0 after 6 games in 7 weeks was not something I think even the most hopeful of
Yeah.
analysts and people had thought would happen.
Yeah. I mean, Rams, the reigning champs, being kind of just bleh, as
Three
much
and
as they
three and
are.
three. The reason probably not 3-4 is they didn't play last week.
Yep. Yeah. Tampa Bay, Green Bay. Um, who else? I mean, it's on like you could flip it with Jets, Giants.
Yeah,
Um, I know there's another team that I'm missing that's kind of been a surprise. Uh, doesn't matter.
right.
Basically, there's so much parity in the NFL, and it's been a growing trend, and blah blah blah. Blah. But it's also like to see a team that is way above that,
Hmm.
and you're not just talking about this year, you're talking about for a decade. They're always going to be in the conversation of contending for Super Bowls because they have someone as great as Josh Allen.
Hmm.
They have Stephon Diggs, who's was when they made the move for him, was this year 3 in Buffalo, maybe even longer.
I think
Um,
it's three.
it was just like, yeah, that's exactly the type of move you make when you need to make the next step and uh, elevate your quarterback play, all that stuff. And then it's those that's what makes your team a magnet for guys like Von Miller to sign a hefty contract. And
Right.
when people thought that, oh, he's maybe on the tail end of his career, he's got 6 sacks in 6 games. And yeah, he's 33, but
Good, some might
he's
say.
still very good. So yeah, they're Super Bowl contenders. The Packers are Puppy Bowl contenders.
Hey man, I watch the Puppy Bowl every Super Bowl Sunday. If they want to throw Rodgers into a
it
pit
is.
of pit bull pit bull
Let's
puppies,
do it. Let's do it. At this point, I might find that more entertaining than the
he
Packers.
might grow some feelings for his younger counterparts.
Yeah, highest grade. Pause.
That's some good stuff.
Ugh.
But yeah, I think what you said as you started was appropriate. It's fitting given the year. Like expectations are nowhere near what we had thought they were going to be at the start of the year. And even like not just like season expectations, week to week expectations don't even really
Yes.
get me excited anymore, which is sad. Like
Sad.
we shouldn't have been going into the Commanders game expecting a loss, and we both predicted and were right in saying that they were going to lose. Same thing this week. We'll get to that. We'll get to score predictions later, guys. Don't worry. But like it's
Or worry, depending on
or
what
yeah, or
mood.
worry. Um, it is appropriate. They haven't shown anything that would lead me to believe they're going to win any week, just because they just haven't. They haven't committed to being a run first offense like we've talked about. The receivers, and this has sort of been the discussion on Packers Twitter this week, and Packers sort of narrative is that is the problem the receivers, is the problem Rodgers? And the obvious correct answer is that it's both. Like there are other quarterbacks who have less weapons than the Packers do, doing fine things. Ryan Tannehill, Marcus Mariota, and just other teams that don't really have anything. Like I'm not going to sit here and say that the Patriots have a better uh, wide receiver core than the Packers do. Like frankly, I just don't think that's true. And they're doing fine. They lost to the Bears on Monday night, but I don't think that was any part of the receiver's fault. And so, yes, the receivers need to be better and get the drops down, like dropping less balls, but it also has to do with Rodgers being a more accurate quarterback.
Yep.
Like I couldn't find it um, as a stat percentage anywhere, but like I'd be really curious to know what Rodgers' on target percentages because particularly in the Commanders game, it felt like every ball was just so low, and that was probably part of the reason some of those um, catches turned into drops. If you're forcing your receiver to make a play on the ball rather than just catch and run, that drop, the percentage chance of a drop happening increases.
Yes.
And so I think
That's old school Rodgers there too.
yeah, like I think that just needs to be the obvious thing that fans need to understand is that you can't blame either which party. You just need to understand that they need to start working better together as a group. And that's not to say like pretty much everybody in the offense can improve in some way, shape, or form to get them back to where they were last year. And I think that starts with Rodgers and then it trickles down to the receivers. Once Rodgers starts putting balls on target more often, drops probably go down. Drops go down, yards after the catch go up. Hopefully, you'd imagine if they can start getting some separation and getting something going over the middle.
Yeah.
But like, it just kind of it starts with Rodgers because quarterback is such an important position, and he is supposed to be the leader of the offense.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't know. Obviously, I think all this discussion is going to focus on wide receiver play, Rodgers. It also comes down on the line and the fact that they've had to do so much shuffling. Bakhtiari's problems, the fact that they stuck with a lineup or a lineman configuration that just didn't work. I mean, Royce Newman's not really, he's going to be in the NFL for a while. He's just not a starting level caliber guard
Yep.
at this point.
Yep.
It's uncharacteristic stuff that you don't expect to see from the Packers because that is their strength to every good year. It applies to every team in the NFL, but more so with the Packers when
Right.
you've established this history of like you can bring in a veteran midway through the year and he just, what was it, Dennis Kelly last year?
Yeah, 2 years ago, I think.
Or who was the guy 2 years ago that was like forgetting his name and it's killing me.
What do you play?
He was a lineman. I think
I'll keep with your point.
he was a
I'll look it up.
veteran guy, and oh man,
Keep with your point, and I'll look it up.
I know. But you can bring in a guy like that off the street, and so to speak, and it just works like a charm that you can just like plug and play these options. And now when you focus on growing from within and next man up and all this stuff, and when those options aren't that great or it's their developmental prospects on that line,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of just mixes in with this grab bag of blah that is
Right.
the Packers season. So yeah.
Were you talking about Billy Turner?
Not Billy Turner. Not Billy Turner.
Lane Taylor, Lucas
No.
Patrick. This is the 2020 season, so Ricky Wagner?
No.
Then I can't help you.
I'm gonna find it.
All right. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's the wide receiver play has to pick up, and we're gonna go put our conspiracy tinfoil hats on. This is from Jacob Morley, just a guy on Twitter. He's a staff writer and photographer for the Packer Report and 24/7 Sports. He said something just texted to me. What if Aaron Rodgers? What if Aaron suggesting reps being cut for guys is because he actually wants more Amari Rodgers on the field, and his quote, "He is returning kicks for us. That's all I got," end quote, comment was seeded out of frustration for lack of playing time. Ty said it on Sunday. He's been saying it ever since. he thinks Amari Rogers should get more snaps as he's been showing his worth as a receiver because he can't do it as a punt returner.
I found the name.
All right, I go. Who is it?
Jared Veldier.
Boy, name a. But this is a couple of fellows just naming football players.
Yeah, that was not worth the payoff.
I'm glad you got the you got it off your chest.
Sorry, you're making a really good point, and I just had to be. I found a name.
No, it's fine. I'll just talk about the Amari Rogers showing his worth as a receiver
Yes.
more so than punt returner because he can't do it as a punt returner. He just can't. Like that's plain and simple. Um, but he had nice plays in the receiving game when he's given opportunities. So I think that is going to be something just to keep an eye on if they really need some sort of injection of life. How often do they turn to Amari Rogers? Like I really don't like we're down pretty bad, admittedly. Like this is the grain of salt we're dealing with now with the place the Packers are in. If we're asking for an injection of life coming from Amari Rogers, things are bad.
Yes.
But the
Also, a state of their wide receiver core with four guys banged up or out. Between Cobb, Lazard,
right,
Watson, Watkins.
exactly.
Might be missing someone too.
Watson, Watkins is banged up. Kyle is banged up. I think that's really it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, why not try it? Like I've been, excuse me, I've been saying it more often lately because I feel like the offense spins its tires at points. But let's get out of this idea of we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
Yep.
Like let's try something new. Get
Try
Amari
something
Rogers in
new.
there. Get Juwan Winfrey in there for a couple plays. See if they can make some impact plays to kickstart this offense and get a rhythm going. Because once that happens, everything starts to become easier. The easier the offense comes, the easier touchdowns come, easier winning comes. So who knows? Maybe Amari Rogers trying it out against this really good Buffalo defense isn't the move this week, but against the Lions next week, baby. Like, we'll see. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see.
Mhm.
But I guess thinking about this game and looking at it, the Bills defense obviously very, very good. I was looking at PFF and it looks like the Bills, while a good defense, their run defense, just according to their grades, so again, a chunk of salt.
Yep.
They're middle. They're graded at the middle of the pack. They're ranked 13th, and just like the run defense grades that PFF hands out. But when it comes to rushing yards allowed, maybe maybe I should take that back. They have played one less game because they had the bye week last week, but they have allowed the least rushing yards in the NFL. That's why I listen to PFF sometimes, folks. Do your own research. But it's also less attempts too. So take with it what you may. The fact of the matter is the Buffalo Bills are good at defense. So Rodgers talked about all week, annoyingly, but people don't expect good things to happen when you're 10 point half point underdogs, and maybe they can prove us wrong, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
No, I do not at all. Um,
I think it's just because like their defensive front is so like just crazy good, right? Like
yeah.
Gregory Rousseau, if I'm saying that right, Shaq Lawson, um, Jordan Phillips, Daquan Jones, Von Miller, like obviously not front, but you get my point. Just
Mhm.
all so good this year, and part of why they're having such a great year. Followed up with Tre'Davious White, who I believe is on IR, if I'm not mistaken, or he's off of it now. I forget. I think he was hurt. I'm not sure if he's played yet this year. But Tre'Davious White and then Micah Hyde, I believe, was out too.
Yes.
So like, there's opportunity for some of this for like some breakthrough plays from the Packers, but I don't
Is
know.
it Jordan prior to he like went to he had to travel through
Yeah, he had the
on bus because he has
yeah
like
he either
busted
drove or got a
ribs?
bus because he couldn't fly with his condition. That like I think is his lung or heart condition, whatever it was. I think
That's
he had a
wild.
collapsed lung, and they
Yes,
said
that's what it
you
was.
can't fly. He said, I'm gonna drive, and then he made it and played in the Chiefs game. So
That is your segment of football players built different.
built different.
Tre'Davious
So
White is not going to play this week.
okay,
Just for
good
just for
news.
confirmation.
That's good news. So
Yes.
let's look at the offense a little bit for the Bills because that's going to be the most exciting thing to watch probably going against the defense. Uh, Josh Allen, we are established, good at football. Stephon Diggs, good at football.
Very good
Gabe
football.
Davis, good at football. Uh,
Averaging 27.4 yards per catch.
crazy. He also had like two really, really, really big catches
He
that
had that
inflated
he had
that.
that 98, but
Yeah.
still.
He also had one, I think, early in the season, but yeah, he had
Yeah.
some inflating those. Uh, Isaiah McKenzie, good. Just
Yep.
like he's their slot guy. The Bills love targeting their slot receivers, like a lot, a lot,
Yes.
a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if Isaiah McKenzie gets matched up against Stokes or Russell or something and makes something happen and scores this week.
That's
So
oh man.
yeah. But what the straw that stirs the drink is Josh Allen. And they don't run the ball. They have good running backs in Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, and James Cook.
Mm.
But they don't need to run that often because one, Josh Allen can run. He's huge. Six
Leading
five,
rusher.
6'5", 237. Like he's tough to bring down. He's practically linebacker or tight end size. And so when he gets going, it's hard to take down. He's fast, agile, just a good pick, believe it or not. um, but he's playing at an MVP level, throwing to very good targets who are great route runners, and they have just a nicely coached team in Sean McDermott. Like
Mm-hmm.
it just is him and Ken Dorsey do things great on offense. It's really as simple as it is. And the secondary's gonna have a tough week this week. That's my not bold take. That's my pretty confident assertion. Is that Stefan is gonna give Jair his money's worth of problems. Um, Razul's probably gonna have his hands full with Gabe Davis if that's who ends up covering him. Or no, it'll probably be Eric Stokes, honestly.
I was gonna say,
Opposite of Jair will be Eric Stokes. So hopefully Eric Stokes have a bounce back game. And then Razul inside on Isaiah McKenzie. But man, that's you're testing your secondary with this offense.
yeah, I wonder if we'll see some mix and matches in some ways, just to kind of alleviate some of the
Yeah.
pressure that's going to be facing all three of them.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, like Bills play a lot with their slot. I didn't
Yep.
mean for that to rhyme. But when you have a quarterback with Josh Allen's arm strength, you're going to do that.
Arm
To,
strength reminiscent of prime Rogers arm strength. Like
oh, and the
2011,
mobility.
2012, all of it. He's like
That's and he has the size to match. He's like a Terminator, where
yeah,
he's just like, yeah, it's
good
not
at the
even,
football.
yeah, very good at the football.
Being
and
the Wyoming alumnus he is, if you graduated, whatever. If you went to Wyoming. He,
the cowboy,
yes, big energy of you want to see me throw a football over them, their mountains.
yeah, he's like the Simpsons Mark McGuire gif of, hey everybody, let's go hit some diggers. But it's him like, let's throw 80-yard bombs to
Right,
Stephon Diggs or
right,
Gabe Davis.
just for funsies.
I
So
think that's what I think you mentioned, like seeing like Aaron Rodgers of like, I don't know, 2011.
yeah,
Um, I know it was a longer prime, but like when he was just like reaching the peak of his powers. I think that's what's like when you see Allen and Mahomes and just these young quarterbacks just like really like ascending, and it's like, oh my god,
yeah,
you have now that we're facing a position where Rodgers on the downslope, and you just see the future happening, and it's like this is what it was like to be on the other side of it, and just like
Right.
how much you take it for granted, and just like the equity of whether it's like playing within the system or just the freewheeling plays that just like, how do you get that out
Yeah.
of, a guy is like rushing you and you're able to just throw it that far and it's a completed catch or whatever the circumstances. It's just like that kind of, I don't know, just the superhuman abilities of just
Yeah.
like pulling things out of his ass. That's just like, it's insane.
It's this is more broad stroke NFL looks, but like with Rodgers and Brady doing so poorly this season so far, I think if anybody has a chance to pick it up and do better, it's at this point Brady over Rodgers. Like I just don't.
He's got the infrastructure around him too.
Yes, exactly. But it's more that feeling of either that like the old guard's out, new guard's in. Like Stafford's
Torches
not
been
playing
passed.
well. Yeah, Stafford's not playing well. Rodgers isn't playing well. Brady's not playing well. Like Peyton Manning's obviously has been around for a few years. I really can't think of like any of these older quarterbacks that were really big during the 2000s and 10s that are playing anymore that are playing at a high level. Like Kirk Cousins is probably the cusp of that transition of era of quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
Starter Dak too, kind
Yeah,
of.
Dak, a little bit.
Um,
That's really about it. Like,
that's about it.
and that's like because Ben Roethlisberger retired. He's not around anymore. No one in the AFC East.
There was just this wide chasm of quarterbacks that just didn't pan out.
Right. And so like but now it's Josh Allen. It's not so much Kyler Murray, but kind of Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts is having a really good year. And
Yes.
so it's a lot of these newer, younger quarterbacks that are probably going to lead the way in the NFL in the next decade. So
Yeah.
it's that was kind of made evident to me this
You can
past
throw
week.
Wilson in that former conversation too.
Yes, Russell Wilson. That's for sure. Derek Carr is in like the Kirk Cousins cusp area.
Yes, tweener.
Yeah,
Starter, but
tweener.
like,
Oh, we can't forget Justin Herbert. That's Justin Herbert's
yes.
slander. He's
Yes.
he's good. He doesn't. He's the same thing. He's kind of like a younger version of Rodgers, where he's having a tough year because he doesn't. Nobody around can stay healthy. Like Austin Eckler is the only healthy person around, and Keenan Allen
It's
can't
the
get healthy. Mike Williams
Chargers
out for a month.
plight.
Yeah,
He's out for a month.
Mike Williams. Yeah, they expect him to be out with Mike Ball for 4 weeks.
I gotta find a new wide receiver.
Sorry to break that news to you, buddy.
Damn it. Ugh.
So yeah, that's gonna be good. Like I think I'm excited to watch football this week for the sole purpose that I get to watch a fun football team, the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I wasn't.
And
Go ahead.
sorry,
Go ahead.
on the odd chance that all the things that we're talking about this with this Packers team, something just clicks, or they look at the level of competition and be like, let's stop screwing around.
Right.
Let's try to put something together. Because optics are not like it, they're playing prime time games all season long.
Yeah.
They're always going to be, whether it's 12 o'clock slot, 3:25 slot, whether it's on Fox, CBS, Amazon, they're always they're the Packers. But when it's for when their first game on Sunday Night Football, and how we're talking about it, where it's like, yeah, they got blasted by the Vikings. It was a poor showing, blah, 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 blah. Now it's like, okay, you're just stuck in this mess.
Right.
And it's not a feeling that they're all familiar with this far into the season.
They have 10 games left.
Yeah.
Only 3 of them are at noon.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lions game is TBD at the end of the season, so that'll probably be at noon. But this is like
Yes.
hilariously mirroring like ESPN putting or the NBA putting the Lakers on primetime slots and on national TV.
And guess what? They're getting with the freaking Buccaneers too, if they don't figure it out. Like,
Right.
and the Broncos.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that kind of thing of like, if they're bad, it's going to be for everyone to see. Everybody probably saw. I would guess a lot of people that are out of market fans or not even Packer fans or anything like that, they probably saw the score unfold on whatever ESPN or NFL.com and stuff like that last week, and they're like, they lost to Washington.
Right.
So now it's like they are this is the premier game. One of the games the NFL probably just said like, we have the Packers Bills on Sunday Night Football,
Yeah.
and
And
if
they
the Packers play like shit, it does not matter.
nope. This was like probably one of like their best games this season they probably anticipated. And
Oh yeah,
it's now slating to be just like it's a game.
yeah,
So but no, I'm excited to watch some good football. Like you said, if on the off chance the Packers do put a game together and compete, it'll be really fun. But hopefully that we don't have to watch another stinker, essentially.
yep.
Um, alrighty. Getting into the meat of the podcast, where all this juicy, great content is. Players and coaches to watch, Jordan. I'm not mistaken, I went first last week.
Yes, you would be right.
Either side too. You can pick one of each, or what do you want to do?
I'll keep it Packers. I'll do Rodgers.
Fair enough.
I'm already.
Oh my god. This got baited.
I guess the second time I've done that to you tonight. Yeah, let's go, Aaron. Just because this could be, I could see this going in a lot of different directions. I could see this. I don't know if it's going to be a great game. I think he's going to be very frustrated all night long. Um, that's also just his general demeanor when he's on the football field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's going to bring a level of frustration and angst that is very, it's part of his MO
Yeah.
lately, and things aren't going well, or I don't know. I think it's also just like, what can he do to surpass his highest graded performance of the season
Right.
against Washington? So yeah, I'm very just intrigued by what this response is. I would sure like to see other players get the ball more. Aaron Jones. Um, but I just feel like that's beating a dead horse at this point. I think it's a lot of it's going to be Rodgers plays the way he has been playing and has been doing the things that he has been doing for most of the season. It's going to be quite the show.
Right. I would agree. And playing off of that, I think like this would be a fantastic spot for Rodgers to put his money where his mouth is and like come out firing. Have a signature Rodgers game. Like one we'll remember. Like that would be great. Prove all the haters wrong. Prove all the media wrong, Aaron Rodgers.
This is like the run the table, relax
Yeah.
point of the season.
It's got to start now.
Yep.
Like we talked about on Sunday with Ty. Like it's they can make the playoffs. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. It's highly unlikely at this point. My player to watch is a section of players to watch. The Bills front seven. I think they're gonna wreak havoc this game, just because one, they're good and they cycle players out like consistently. Like they're just going and going and going. Like they're all rested essentially the entire game. So seeing how the line holds up is going to be important, and then seeing if Rodgers can evade that pass rush effectively. And now
Yeah.
to the cherry on top of this solemn, sort of cathartic Packers pod. Score predictions.
Oh man.
I will go.
I'll
first.
go first again.
Oh,
you're gonna go?
nope,
I'll
you
go.
go.
I'm
No.
ready.
You go.
I'm ready. I'm looking downfield. None of my receivers are separated. I'm going Bills. Oh man. The other thing to this will segue into my prediction. It's not like when maybe the Jets game would qualify as this, but it's not like their losses have been apocalyptic. It's been a gradual, just like we are slowly draining the life from you.
Yeah, it hasn't been like a wire to wire. Oh, they're
This
losing
could
this
be
game.
like a atomic bomb being dropped on the Packers.
This game
That's how
could be
like
over after the first Bills drive.
yeah, or yeah,
Depending on how the Bills look and how the Packers defense looks.
absolutely. I'm gonna go 38-17 Bills.
You have a lot more confidence than I do. 45-10.
Oh
I think it's a
yeah,
absolute smoke show from the Bills. Like that's not even saying our defense is bad. Like the Bills are just that good.
it's yeah.
And um I just don't have any confidence in the offense.
No,
I really wish I do.
gone.
Like hey, Packers, prove me wrong. Really hoping you do. Really, really hoping you do. I just don't think that it's feasible at this point. Sadly. So, all right, folks.
We
That
talked
is
Tundra.
we've talked Tundra. Thank you all for listening. Before we go, check out GSPN.info for all of your Eurostep podcast network sports needs. We got obviously us going with the Packers stuff strong right now. Bucks are back. They're 3-0 after a comeback win versus the
Team
Brooklyn
of
Nets.
Wisconsin.
What was
People are
that?
saying. I said the team of Wisconsin. People are saying.
I don't think people need to be saying it. I think it's just true at this point.
Yes.
Um, obviously you and Adam have a 1-6 coming out today, Thursday, correct?
Yes.
There we
It's in
go.
the pipeline.
In the pipeline. So go check the Eurostep feed for that. Always good stuff coming out of the Eurostep Podcast Network. GSPN info to get all of the information on the podcast. Join the Discord, fill out the review form, all of that good stuff. Check out the merch store. As I said last episode, you guys probably heard the bleep. We got a certain facade back over here. Talk of the Tundra flag. None of this stuff is available yet, but I got
Exclusives.
I got
Exclusives.
exclusives. A sweatshirt with it. That certain facade on it. So we will blast that out to you guys once it's available for your purchase. But go check out the other stuff there. It's also very good too. I am a stan of the Cruising for a Bruising logo. I think it's one of the better logos I've ever seen for anything ever. It's just Barrel Man with in the boxing gear is a fantastic logo. It's so good. It's so good. So go all the way over to gspn.info for all of that. Jordan, thank you, buddy.
Thank you.